Overwatch is currently in the best state it's ever been in years. And I wanted to have a little yap session, guys, and kind of talk about it, right? Because I was very much hesitant on making this video for a while, because I didn't really know if people would agree with me, or more so people would just like, you know, disagree or something like that. But I was like, okay, Overwatch kind of seems to be in a very, like, people are enjoying the game recently. And people are talking about the game being good recently. I'll show an example later at some point. But yeah, I wanted to talk about season 15, 16, and 17 because these past 3 seasons of Overwatch have been incredible with how well the content has been. And I'm also talking about gameplay. I'm not really going to talk about skin stuff. I mean, maybe a little bit later, right? But obviously, talking about the gameplay stuff in this game is really, really good, right? The perk system coming in season 15 was really well done. Hero bans happening in season 16 is really good. And now we have map voting, which obviously isn't some super crazy change with map voting, but thank God we finally have all that stuff. It took them some sweet time. I mean, if you're wondering how long it took for the Overwatch team to really consider hero bans, they pretty much said hero bans are unlikely but not off the table for Overwatch 2. This was all the way on June 23rd, 2022 when something like this was answered. This was, you know, almost, actually, yeah, 3 years ago. And now we finally have hero bans after about, you know, 2 years of waiting, 3 years of waiting, something like that, right? But yeah, I remember in season 14, I genuinely wasn't really enjoying Overwatch that much at all. And I was playing, obviously, a lot more Rivals, Marvel Rivals, whatever. And I was very much just going, I'm probably just going to like 50-50 the content, or maybe just focus more on Rivals for a bit and kind of just focus less on Overwatch. I was kind of getting to that point where I kind of was ready to not play much Overwatch anymore. Or more so just stream it less, right? And then, you know, they announced the whole Overwatch Spotlight thing, flew out some streamers, including myself, me and a couple of my other friends. You know, by friends, I mean, you know, Aspen and Warren. And to go see some, like, Overwatch content early and be able to stream their reactions to it. And I was like, I'm kind of skeptical about this because, like, this past Overwatch seasons have been kind of... but, you know, obviously, they were trying to get their player base back. This was like their big moment, right? So it's like, okay, they're banking on this big time. They're inviting so many streamers out. Like, they have to legitimately cook, right? And I was like, all right, if the content's bad, I'll just use, like, face cam after not using it for, like, 5-6 years or something like that. And it's like, at least I get some funny reactions out of it, or so, like, funny clips or something, right? If the content is bad. But it wasn't bad. Everything in that whole, like, Spotlight thing was really good. The perks changes coming in season 15, which you're able to, you know, after you hit, like, a certain threshold of, like, healing damage, you know, just playing the game, you unlock a perk for your character. So, for example, for Lucio, you get more boop distance, or whenever you beat drop, you know, use your ultimate, you'll amp it up as active for the entirety of, beat drop, sorry. So it's like a 6-second amp, which is really, really good in more so coordinated play, and the boop is more good in, you know, obviously boop maps, or more so just solo queue and getting, like, mobile characters away from your other support, right? If you do that sort of thing on Lucio. And the perk system was a great addition to the game. There's some really, really good perks. There are kind of some bad perks. I mean, look at Ana Amari, for example. I don't know why I full named her. Look at Ana, for example, with that character having 4 perks that are pretty much S tier, while some characters, on the other hand, kind of have some boring perks here and there. But obviously, they did announce in Season 18 they are doing some changes to some perks. So hopefully, there is some good stuff coming in the future related to that. And then going on to the next bit, they announced Stadium, which is Overwatch more so. I feel like this is more so like a casual Overwatch game mode, but if you're a big casual Overwatch fan, you might like this a lot. Some people haven't really got into this mode yet, and I think this is kind of a mode that's going to, like, get really good over time. But if you're out of the loop of what Stadium is, it's pretty much more so a MOBA team deathmatchy like mode of Overwatch, right? Obviously, the objective stuff is still there, so Clash, Push, Control, are the 3 game modes in it, and a new one coming in the next season, which is Payload Race, where you're able to basically build your character up and just get super powerful, right? That's kind of like the really, really fun thing about Stadium, is pretty much just being super powerful and kind of just like having some really broken builds to use against like actual other players, right? Obviously, you want to run like a tanky Lucio build, you can do that. You want to do more damage with your boop, you can do that. If you want to run like a more, you know, weapon damage build sorry. If you want to do like more weapon damage, so like your bullets are doing a whole bunch of damage, you can do that sort of stuff. But more so, you can do some hybrid things. You can do ability power and some weapon damage, and try some things here and there and kind of see how it goes. And of course, you know, even you have some goofy stuff like ricochet bullets. They only added like a small amount of characters so far. I think there's about like 20 or something like that. But Overwatch has shown their roadmap for Stadium. And obviously we are in Season 17 now. We just had Junkrat Sigma and Zenyatta release. We had 2 new maps coming to play. And obviously coming in the next season, we have Winston, Brig, and Sojourn. But Sojourn was replaced by Farah. And then coming in mid-season is Tracer. So 4 new heroes coming in the next season as well. And obviously, you know, Route 66 and London maps. These are brand new original maps from what I've heard. and then payload race as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff coming in for Stadium if you're a big fan of it, right? Some people obviously don't like it, and some people obviously might not be able to run it on like old gen consoles or like Nintendo Switch 1 or something like that, which is what I've heard. And hopefully those issues do get fixed in the future. But I've been obviously prioritizing a lot more Stadium content simply because, you know, as a content creator, I've kind of just felt like I can be a bit more creative with what I want to do with my builds. And I'm able to like go into making a video with a plan, right? You know, when you play like solo queue or like, you know, core Overwatch ranked, it's kind of like, you know, hopefully I get some fun games. Hopefully you get some like interesting like teammates or maybe some like funny enemies and all that sort of stuff. Or maybe hopefully I'm not versing like boring stuff that people would fall asleep watching, right? It's like, you know, that's kind of how it is. But with Stadium, it's like I can run a tank Lucio build today. I can run a melee Lucio build and a Billy Power Lucio build today. And then it's like my plan is done. I know what I'm doing today. I just got to get like some good games. I got to play like my best and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm happy with like what I have, right? But I still really like core Overwatch. So yeah, Stadium is kind of just that one side mode where if I'm getting bored of core Overwatch, I can go play that. If I'm getting bored of you know, Stadium, I go play core Overwatch. And I think that's kind of like the one thing I was hoping for Overwatch like for ages is kind of just like, you know, I kind of want to play Overwatch, but I don't want to play core Overwatch, and I want to do something else. But obviously, I don't really want to play quick play. I want to play like another version of Overwatch or something like that. And originally, for most people, that was the PvE. Everyone had that whole thing. Like, originally, you know, that was the whole PvE. That was my whole idea. It's like, well, if I'm getting bored of core Overwatch, I'll go play that. But obviously, that's changed. You know, obviously, it was cancelled and all that sort of stuff. We got free story missions, you know, mumbo jumbo, whatever. Who cares? And now we have Stadium. So that's kind of like the itch that I get to scratch, and more so, it's a lot more fun for me personally because I get to try like really dumb builds against actual players. So it's kind of like you get more reactions, you get more like, you know, life out of it. It feels consistently fresh. I guess I don't really know how to really word it right, but in my opinion, I feel like Stadium is really fun if you obviously don't play it 24/7 and you kind of just play it in like small bites where you're kind of just getting bored of like core Overwatch. But if you're someone that hasn't touched Overwatch in ages, you might really like Stadium. I think a lot of people have kind of gotten into Overwatch just to play Stadium alone. I've seen a lot of profiles on my team pretty much of people just only playing Stadium and barely touching like core Overwatch because obviously they just want to like run some really dumb builds or something like that, right? But going back to core Overwatch, we had the release of Freya, which, let's be real, she was pretty overtuned and super broken, but she has been nerfed down quite a bit where she doesn't really seem to be that strong from my experience so far. I haven't really versed many Freyas in ranked recently, and more so if I do verse a Freya, I don't really have much trouble against her, right? She's a super well done character, very simple, just like high mobility and just crossbow bolts character, right? I do not know how her ultimate works at all. I'm absolutely terrible at it, but regardless, she's a very, very fun character, very kind of easy to pick up, hard to master type character, and I feel like Overwatch kind of always cooks in that sense where it's like a character is really easy to play at first, or more so they're hard to master, right? But yeah, Freya's release was kind of rough for the season. I think that was the one time where Overwatch was really, really bad again, just because of how strong she was. But simply, they fixed the whole issue by just introducing hero bans. They kind of realized, yeah, we could probably like release an overtuned character or something like that. And thankfully, we can just ban her from the game. We can just ban her from the game to the point where Overwatch players don't really have to deal with her and don't really have to be complaining about it that much anymore. So hero bans are probably something that should have been Overwatch for ages. I was pretty much against them for a while because, I mean, I mainly only play Lucio, right? So why would I want hero bans to be a thing in the game? Because I was worried I'd maybe get like stream sniped a lot and my character would get banned a whole bunch. But that doesn't really seem to be the case. I think out of all the times of me playing core Overwatch, I think I've only been target banned maybe like 5 to 6 times across maybe 100 games. It's probably like 10 out of 100 or something like that. And to me, honestly, that isn't really that bad. You know, obviously, I could just go play another character. It's not really the end of the world and all that sort of stuff. It's a little bit annoying when people are obviously stream sniping, but it is what it is, right? And if you look at this graph that the Overwatch team posted a while ago, you can see that the most banned character in the game right now is Sombra. If one of the reasons you quit Overwatch is because you do not like Sombra, it's a great time to come back because a lot of people are going to agree with you and ban that character non-stop. You don't like Zarya because of the bubbles and Doomfist because of just constant like high mobility getting punched around. Don't worry, a good chunk of the Overwatch community agrees with you as well, and they will ban that character just as much as you want them banned, if that really makes sense. I have found that going into the now like most recent season, I found that the most banned character is still like, I don't really know. I think in high ranks, Ramatra is getting banned a whole bunch. Rodol gets banned a decent amount because he's kind of just an annoying character to verse. But Ram in high ranks at least gets banned a whole bunch because he's just infinitely tanky. I would not be surprised if Ram gets nerfed coming into mid-season because it seems that a lot of high rank players really don't like him at the moment. And funnily enough, another really good support at the moment is also Lifeweaver. I'm not even trolling on that. Apparently, he's super S tier in more so team play, but he's become really, really good in solo queue. Simply because of his insane output and heals, well done sustain. He was really good when Freya was meta, but Freya's kind of fallen off a little bit, but you know. Lifeweaver was really, really good, right? And I kind of feel like a lot of characters do feel like they're in their best state right now, personally, even with like the hero bans and all that sort of stuff. It kind of also makes the game a lot easier, right? I've noticed that a lot of Roadhog one tricks have simply climbed so hard simply because they just have the ability to ban Ana. They have the ability to ban Orisa. Any sort of character that can hard counter them, right? It's the greatest time for them. If you're in a game against a Hog player and you see that the bans are like now like Orisa and Ana, you know it's over. It's full on over. You get a Venture player on your team and they're like, let's ban Cassidy and Roadhog or something like that. You know it's going to be a game where you get hard carried by a Venture player. Hero bans are simply that one thing where it's like, it just is so much more enjoyable when I don't have to verse the characters I despise about this game. You know, the one reason why I very much was getting so bored of Overwatch was Sojourn. I don't like playing against Sojourn at all. I think she's super overtuned. I don't know why she has 250 health still to this day. If Freya has 225, why can't Sojourn have it? You know what I mean? But every single game, I'm always banning Sojourn or Tracer or Roadhog or, you know, Doomfizz or anything like that. And it's generally like the games where most of the characters I dislike getting banned is when the game is really, really good. So hero bans did their job. They did exactly that whole thing where it's just like, man, the game is so much more enjoyable when I don't have to play against these boring as hell characters. How wonderful is that? It's crazy. And it's more so, you know, thinking back on this, we should have had this in the game ages ago. I was so wrong. I was so wrong about not wanting this in the game because I was worried about Lucio getting banned nonstop to the point where I'd have to learn, you know, maybe some character that I don't really find as fun, right? You want to play Ana? Bro, I'm gonna walk around like on foot all the time, man. I need to jump on walls. That's my whole thing. That's my whole personality, bro. Anyways, kind of lost my train of thought with that one, unfortunately, because I just started ranting out of nowhere. Anyways, yeah, I think hero bans are really good. I've kind of just gone like I'm on a broken record now, but I think they're really, really good. Really well done addition to the game. It pretty much fixes like, yeah, obviously this character's broken. I could just ban him. Yay, all that sort of stuff. Anyways, now going on to the next bit is map voting. This was something that just should have been in the game for ages ago. I remember making a video on the main channel where I tried to get Ilios, and it took me over like 2 weeks and over like 150 games or something like that to finally get Ilios. And at the end of the video, I remember complaining, oh my gosh, can the Overwatch team hurry up and put a map vote in the game? And they finally did it. They finally hurried up and did it. It took them like, what, a year, 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And I was like, oh, finally, man. So happy. And in most cases, yeah, I feel like it's simply kind of the same kind of like topic with like hero bans. It's like a lot of time in Overwatch, I would go into like, you know, hero select and I'd be like, we've already lost this game just because of the map we have to play. I don't really like Gibraltar. I don't really like Dorado. I don't really like escort and hybrid maps. The only hybrid map that I think will pass is, you thought I was going to say King's Road, didn't you? Don't worry. I don't really like King's Road. I like Iconworld a lot. I feel like that's the only hybrid map that I generally will enjoy playing a whole bunch. That Second Point Castle can be an absolute nightmare, but other than that, the map is really, really fun. It's one of my favorite, you know, hybrid maps. And then for the escort stuff, I don't really have any like personal favorites, I think. I don't really know. When was our last escort map? Was it Shimbali? Was that season 2? God damn, bro. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, map voting is obviously just, you know, like I said, with the hero band stuff, it's a very well done addition to the game. You know, I enjoy the game so much more when I get to play the maps I want to play. You know, if I don't have to play like a escort or a hybrid map and I get to play like control, or I get to play push, or even Flashpoint, something like that, you know, it's great. And speaking of Flashpoint, going on from there, we also have one of Overwatch's, you know, good map reworks, right? I feel like the Overwatch map team has been cooking super well. Sorry, I have to find the page I'm looking for. And that, of course, is the map reworks coming into mid-season, right? I do wish these were out now because it does make sense with the map voting and all that sort of stuff. Because obviously, Flashpoint has been a very heavily hated game mode in the Overwatch community by, like, I guess, casuals or something like that. I personally have never been a fan of New Junk City, but I think Savasa is an incredibly good map. I feel like it's one of Overwatch's best maps they've ever released. It's great for Lucio, so maybe I'm biased towards that sort of thing. But I personally love it a lot, right? And they're doing some, you know, big changes to the map. So obviously, a couple of changes here, some more open areas, right? You know, New Junk City, this area was kind of like, it's whatever. But, you know, they've kind of just made it a bit more flat and easy to fight in rather than just falling down some holes and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, there's some more images here and there, which I might be able to get into the live stream, right? But goodness gracious. Let me see if I can find the New Junk City one where they made it look into like a whole-on gaming PC, right? I should have had this prepared or something like this. But obviously, it's a bit more spread out, and they've kind of fixed like the whole thing on New Junk City being so claustrophobic and enclosed. And that's why I haven't really liked the map that much, because if you verse any sort of close range heroes like Adventure or Reaper or like, you know, any like more up close and personal characters, Ryan, Jungle Queen, anything like that, it feels so closed in and claustrophobic, and I absolutely hate it. And pretty much this whole thing here, making the map a bit more open, a bit more spaced out, kind of just fixes my whole frustrations with the map, which is you know, really good, really wonderful. So, you know, great job for the map reworkers and the Overwatch team and the people that are working on the map stuff. They also fixed some sort of like Lucio war running bug on Paricio. So it's kind of been wild how on fire the Overwatch team has been recently. And even a bug in the game with Lucio where like if he would beat and like amp at the same time, he's like amp it up would get cancelled or something like that. They recently fixed that bug as well. It's great. It feels really good. It feels like the Overwatch team has been listening a lot more recently. And it makes me really, really happy to see, you know, how happy the community seems to be around it, right? Obviously, you know, do we have to address the elephant in the room? Why is Overwatch suddenly locking in like crazy out of nowhere? Well, it's probably because of competition. Obviously, with the release of Rivals, you know, Overwatch has been a lot more bigger spotlight in terms of, yeah, this game sucks, this game is better, you know, all this sort of stuff. And it's kind of just been like Rivals fans and Overwatch fans, you know, arguing nonstop. I play both games, right? I like Rivals, I like Overwatch, but I haven't really been playing much Rivals anymore, and I haven't really been making much content on it anymore. And the simple reason is that I kind of just feel like as a content creator, making content in that game just feels very, I don't know how to word it. It doesn't feel like there's much of a, I don't really know how to word this right. And I don't know if this is me just flaming content creators or anything like that, but more so I feel like I could sit down and react to the rank 1 Lunar Snow or the rank 1 this or just react to anyone else playing the game. Like I feel like most streamers that play Rivals don't really play the game. They more so just react to other people playing the game and all that sort of stuff, and they make videos on it. And they get like hundreds of thousands of views, rather than if someone made like a funny, like, you know, silly moments compilation or just like funny, like ranked moments compilation, no one's really going to care about it that much when you could just really sit down and react to someone playing the game better than you and you know, all that sort of stuff, right? This isn't me really like flaming like content creators in the game. This is more so just me saying that it kind of feels like it's very hard to get your name out there as a content creator, because it's when I've looked up Marvel Rivals content, I do not find any creators except people just reacting to stuff, which is really unfortunate. And because I've really wanted to find good creators. The only good creator I think I watched in that game was like Zanny, but I don't think he's like a, you know, Rivals creator. I think he's more so like a bit of variety or all that sort of stuff, right? I don't know where I'm really going with this. Hopefully that makes sense, right? And even for me personally, I just feel like skill expression in that game kind of gets a little bit, you know, boring. I play Iron Fist, right? But I kind of just, and like Iron Fist and Wolverine, and I kind of feel like you can grab a tank so many times as Wolverine until it gets kind of boring, right? It's the same thing with Iron Fist. You just guide the backline, you punch people a whole bunch of stuff. You know, you block, and then you punch the tank a whole bunch, and then nothing dies because the sustain in that game is incredibly stupid. But hey, when Blade comes out, I'll probably pick up the game a lot more again and actually make content on it. But for now, I kind of just don't really have much interest in it. Anyways, yeah, I feel like the whole competition of Overwatch and Rivals has been such a great thing because it just made Overwatch just lock in a lot more. I feel like they probably wouldn't have dropped all this content back to back to back consistently if it wasn't for Rivals. I feel like things would have been a drip fed a little bit harder. So, you know, there is that couple of things. I don't really know where else to really go with here. I guess more so, what do I really want out of Overwatch for the future, right? Obviously, you know, hopefully this season we get the OWCS cosmetics coming in season 17. This will probably happen around, you know, mid-season, right? Because obviously people are confused of why this isn't out yet, but hopefully this comes out in mid-season. I feel like the Overwatch esports scene is starting to like kind of grow again and get super well known again. So hopefully there's some stuff like this in game that actually promotes the teams and helps like the players get paid, because let's be real, if you're an Overwatch esports player, you don't really get paid that much. So if they can make some money just by people buying skins in the game, that would be absolutely awesome. And to go along with like more so supporting players in the game, I mean, support a creator code for content creators would be really good too. I feel like one of Overwatch's biggest problems is simply just they need to try and support their smaller creators more and trying to get them a bit more out there, a bit more so just kind of give them a reason to kind of stick around making content for the game, right? So like support a creator code similar to something how they have in Fortnite, where if you buy a skin, in like what, maybe like 5% or maybe like 2% or something like that goes towards the creator that you have for the code and all that sort of stuff. So if you're like a big fan of some Overwatch creator or something like that and you want to support them somehow, you can use code PGE in the shop or something like that. You know what I mean? That would be pretty sick. Moving on. Obviously, other stuff that I wanted to talk about is, I guess, maybe Overwatch's skin problem, but this isn't really, you know, too much. Most people obviously don't really care about this sort of stuff. But I figured I'd talk a little bit about it, right? Overwatch does have a little bit of a skin problem. This doesn't impact the gameplay or anything like that at all. I'm just saying, it's been 500 days since Lucio's gotten like a legendary skin that isn't a recolor. And it kind of sucks. His last voice line was all the way in Season 6 and all that sort of mumbo jumbo. And I know a lot of people would be like, why do you care so much, man? It's just cosmetics. Just enjoy the game and all that sort of stuff. Look, at the end of the day, if I have a character that I like, my favorite character doesn't get any love, it's a little bit of a bummer. I mean, in-game and gameplay-wise, buffs and all that sort of stuff, he gets a lot of love there. But man, I just want a new skin, maybe a new voice line, maybe a new emote or something like that. That would be really fun. And speaking of emotes, I hope Overwatch does more silly stuff with their emotes. Recently in the Battle Pass, they did this really silly like Sombra highlight intro. It just caused some controversy because they're like, oh my god, the people on the Overwatch team are like so old and all that sort of stuff. But this sort of thing is hilarious to me, bro. This is great. I hope Overwatch embraces more silly emotes and like cringy, corny stuff, because honestly, it makes me laugh, and seeing that stuff in game really makes my day. I feel like, you know, when people post content and that sort of thing, it does make me very, very happy, right? More so, hopefully we get a Lucio T-pose emote soon. You know, as dumb and corny it is, it would be really cool. Yeah. So that's the whole emotes and cosmetic stuff. And I guess the last thing is obviously, let us just get old Battle Pass content already. You know, there was like this thing a while back, talked about the Overwatch Summit. Aaron Keller mentioned that it's not a big priority team at the moment, and believes that only a vocal minority of players would actually return to complete them. Just let people buy the old Widowmaker skin. Let people buy this Widowmaker skin, bro. Just let them buy it. Or the original Space Prince Lucio. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I do feel like the Overwatch community has been in a really good state. There obviously has been some drama on Overwatch Twitter recently, but, you know, that's just Twitter, right? It has kind of felt like over time, Twitter has gotten a little bit more aggressive. There are some valid criticism with some of the whole drama and all that sort of stuff, right? But the reason why I actually did want to make this video is because I remember coming across a video on my feed from Ludwig and Seadog VA, received the worst punishment live on stream playing Overwatch 2, right? And I kind of like watched through the video, and they didn't really seem to enjoy playing Overwatch at all. And I was like, oh, man, this is kind of like, you know, unfortunate. And most of the comments were pretty much saying, loving the positivity in the comments. As someone who's played Overwatch for many years, I'm proud to say it's the best state it's ever been. And, you know, most of the top comments were pretty much just saying like, yeah, man, Overwatch is actually in a really good state at the moment. I don't know why these guys are complaining, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, I'm more so, you know, thing like that, right? So, yeah, I guess the last thing as well is, let's get an Overwatch TV show going. You know, we're waiting, guys. Make an Overwatch TV show. Boom. $1 million and 10 cents. Anyways, guys, sorry for the really, you know, like, all over the place yap session or something like that. But yeah, I did just want to make a video to kind of talk about the state of Overwatch and kind of just give some positivity on this game, because obviously there's been some drama in the Overwatch community. And I figured, well, now's a good time to finally be positive for once and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully, if you haven't played Overwatch in a while, pick it up again, see how it goes. And if you don't like it, well, my bad. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves and peace out. Bye.